So it was in the 30s last night, and on the plus side, I'm finally getting to take advantage of my 10-degree sleeping bag and everything. But these like 8 a.m. sunrises are just killing me as far as video time. I didn't really succeed in getting a view, but I did at least get a campsite that had sunlight hitting it early in the morning, which is nice because it is chilly enough here that I am starting long johns. I have never exactly embraced getting out of the tent first thing in the morning in the cold. Usually because the style camping I'm doing, it's not like I'm just sitting around or hunkering by a fire. You know, it's get up in the dark and go climb and freeze your hands scrambling up granite or something. But it is super nice being in the sleeping bag when it's 20, 30 degrees. And I have been carrying that 10-degree bag for a better part of 2 months, and it has been overkill pretty much the entire time. So it is nice to get to the point where I am actually appreciating it. The forecast for right here was actually predicting mid-20s tonight, I think, / tomorrow morning. But the sign up top did say that this area is the coldest in the state, so who knows, maybe I'll get far enough where it'll be a bit warmer. I do have my hiking long johns on. I have a separate hiking and sleeping layer just because I was expecting more rain out here. The long johns plus shorts, I have seen testing which claims that is actually lighter and warmer than hiking pants. Obviously, it doesn't protect quite as well when you get into brambles and things, but it does give me a little more flexibility. I'm just often reluctant to put them on because I'm weird about not wanting to break into my pack during the day. So usually whatever state I leave the tent in, that's what I'm expecting throughout the day. And if anything, it's just put on or off my fleece or my rain jacket, which are stored on the outside of my pack. Yesterday was just an all-around lovely day. You know, I got real coffee and a chance to talk a bunch and nice views, so what isn't there to like? My foot is hurting a little more this morning, but that is kind of the way these injury things usually go. So I'm just gonna kind of baby it again, and as long as it doesn't get a whole lot worse, you know, we'll probably be fine. At this point, I am kind of on the bonus miles segment. I mean, I came out here to do the Benton Mackay and the long trail, and I was able to accomplish those. So I am just enjoying every minute I have left out here. And as far as bonus miles go, I am expecting at least the Foothill to be quite pleasant and relatively easy compared with what I'm doing. Like I've said, I'm still not quite sure on the Bartram because there's just less info out there about it. And the stuff I've seen has more been like fluffy descriptions of the vegetation and things versus the actual nitty-gritty details I'm looking for as far as challenges, blockers, trail conditions, water sources. The hardest thing this time of year, at least for me, is keeping my hands warm. I normally don't carry my like full finger fleece gloves unless I'm doing like snow camp or something for the wilderness class. I have fingerless gloves that I use in the tent. I call them my editing gloves because, you know, I need to use the phone and have the stove. And then I also carry these Showa Termes 281, I think, rain gloves, which work as a good kind of like shell vapor barrier. And so like right now when my torso is fine and it's just my fingers are starting to get a little cold and stiff, they work pretty well. And they're very, you know, light and compact. Those were one of my better gear additions after I started through hiking. Like I've said before, I kind of discount gear reviews by anybody not named Skirka just because my needs are a little different just due to the type of hiking I do and how far I'm out and my levels of, you know, relative wimpiness and everything. But I remember on the PCT when it started to get cold and rainy and snowy up in Washington, just dying because I really needed to be using my trekking poles for my knees, but my hands were so cold I needed to keep them in my pockets to not have them freeze. This is the Big Rock campsite I was kind of nominally aiming for last night, but then I found my little dispersed camp. The campsites so far have been quite nice, but they're big, and most of the time, especially this time of year, you're not going to have anybody else show up. But I used to be less kind of antisocial when it came to camping arrangements, and then particularly when I was on the AT in 21, I came to realize that on this coast there are more people who think it's fine to kind of like set up near you and be obnoxious on their phone, or smoke to the point your tent's flooded with cigarette smoke and other crap that just, it's not why I'm out here. And since I'm not having a campfire or doing anything else that would add a lot of impact, I tend to feel good about dispersed camping on this sort of terrain where I can quite easily get off trail. Because even if somebody managed to find where I set up last night, there's no sign I was there other than the leaves are a little padded down for the next day or two. So I managed 10 miles yesterday, just kind of take it easy. Got a late start, did the first part with Byron at whatever pace he wanted, and then delayed up top, obviously. I always enjoy talking with people like that. They're a good example, though. They had their dogs off leash and they barely got them before they came at me. They asked how much of the trail I was doing, and I said whole thing, and they were impressed. And then, of course, I've got to like go on about, oh yeah, but then I did this trail, and then I'm doing this trail after. Because every now and then, you say something like that, and it kind of sticks in somebody's brain, and that's how they find out about some cool idea or another. And then you randomly see that person a few years later doing said adventure, and I always like that part. So my rough plan is 15 miles a day, kind of see how that goes today, and then I'll have a better plan for getting to the B&B. My only real restriction is I would prefer not to be road walking in rural areas after dark, so I'm going to try and time it so maybe I get to that park at the western end early in the day, and then the road walk usually go pretty fast. It's not that hard to do 3 miles an hour on a road walk usually, assuming this ankle behaves. My brain chemistry tends to see the worst outcomes when I hit an injury or something like this, but I have been around the block with a number of things like these, so one day at a time. And I mean, worst case, like I said, I already achieved my big goals out here. And even if I had to come off the trail tomorrow, yesterday would totally be worth having, come out for this little bit. Kind of like the very end of the ADT before I had to get off in Moab last year. Really bummed I wasn't able to continue, but those last couple of days were just a really, really awesome way to finish. I've also noticed that AT culture is alive and well in the far out comments out here. I mentioned how at the southern end of the Benton there were people commenting about how it was dumb to do the hills and better just to road walk and shortcut that last big swing to the east. Well, there were comments around Sassafras and whatever the climb before that was, saying that it was too difficult and dangerous to do that big climb. Everybody should start at the far end and do this last. Otherwise, they should have a shuttle driver take them up to Sassafras and then just walk down the hill. And the thing is, don't get me wrong, 2,500 feet. It was a good climb, but it was also, steady with good footing. Quite pleasant as those things go. Get around to get where I'm going. And back into the canopy today, I guess. Man, lots of people out here today. This is kind of a busy trail. In addition to that big group of day hikers, I've already run into about 5, I guess they'd be eastbounders coming the other way. There is kind of an unfortunate number of these versus what I was used to on the Benton. Six o'clock, so I went ahead and filled up. There are campsites ahead that are marked on the map, are developed and have water, but with how many people I've run across today, I kind of figure I'll be happier dispersed camping. I did manage my 15 miles slower than I expected, but honestly, it was just all the little steps and things when I'm babying my foot, I kind of got to go really slow up and down on those and aggressively use my poles. So once I got on this sort of terrain, I've been moving a lot faster. Once I was outside of that Laurel Canyon area, I have seen a good amount of dispersed options for camping. Honestly, the biggest challenge at the moment is the trail here crisscrosses and joins and leaves a whole bunch of roads. I don't know if they're active or not, but I got to make sure I'm off the trail and not on an active road bed. Somebody's going to tear up with an ATV in the middle of the night. I have actually run across that in Death Valley. We were driving out to a trailhead and some people were trying to get out to one of the kind of touristy spots out there. And I guess they were out there in the middle of the night and just decided, oh, nobody's out there. It's just this desert byway, and set up their tent right in the middle of the road. Well, not quite the best, but I think I can make this work. Climbed off the trail, up a hill, got an area to myself. Dropped down by some sort of a Toxaway River, I think, first thing tomorrow. Bit of a harder day than yesterday, but I'm managing. And I mean, short trail, it's only 50 some miles left. You know, it's only 77 total, so not that big a deal. Plus 15, plus Bartram. So I've got my remote little spot. I am hoping things will be a little less wooden step based tomorrow, just to go easy on my foot, and also my shin is kind of bothering me. Stuff like this happens once I start limping, you know, you throw everything off, but it'll work out.